Welcome back, everyone. Conor Okus, a product manager at heart, is passionate about open source Web3 projects and leads user experience at HelloBitcoin. Having graduated with a degree in computer science, Conor has donned several hats, that of a software engineer, a product manager, a podcast host, and also a YouTuber. It gives us immense pleasure to welcome to the screen Conor Okus to give you an insight into what it's like working in the Bitcoin industry.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We're really glad you're here.
So thanks for having me, guys. So my name's Connor. I'm currently a product manager at Square Crypto. So I'm gonna spend a couple of minutes just explaining to you about kind of my journey into the Bitcoin space and a bit about what we're doing at Square Crypto and how you can potentially find opportunities to also work in the Bitcoin space. Um, so a little bit about myself. I started my Bitcoin journey in 2017 and very much was looking for ways to contribute to the open source Bitcoin community in various ways while working in my full-time role as a software engineer. During that time, since 2017, I helped to organize a Bitcoin conference called Advancing Bitcoin, which is predominantly aimed at builders, developers, designers in the Bitcoin ecosystem. And it consists of talks from prominent people in the industry, primarily around technical concepts, as well as workshops that allow people to kind of dive a bit deeper and build things within the Bitcoin ecosystem. Um, After that, I kind of wanted to find a way to work in a Bitcoin space full time. And a Square Crypto grant opportunity came about, which allowed me to work on Bitcoin full time in a number of different ways. Some of those were to help the Bitcoin design community, which is a community focused on um, helping improve the user experience within Bitcoin, as well as contributing to a host of our developer libraries that make building on Bitcoin slightly easier, and also starting the building of an educational platform that helps the average user understand why Bitcoin is important. So, like a vast majority of things, really. And when my Square Crypto grant finished, which I'll talk about the properties of that in a bit more detail later. I had the opportunity to join Square Crypto full time as of this year. So let's talk a little bit about Square Crypto. So we're a team dedicated to advancing the Bitcoin ecosystem, and we're very different in that we don't have any set business objectives in comparison to Square, the company, the organization. And so our main objective is to just improve the Bitcoin ecosystem and move it forward so that it becomes more accessible for people all over the world. And we're predominantly focused on a few areas. So we focus on trying to improve the user experience, the developer experience, security, privacy, education, and also scalability through things like the Lightning Network, which some of you might be aware of. Um, and so our main mission is to make digital cash mainstream. Many of you are probably aware that Bitcoin um, is this tool that allows you to maintain your purchasing power over time and kind of fight against inflation, and ultimately becomes the kind of best savings technology we've ever had. But in addition to that, Bitcoin can also be used as a medium of exchange and digital cash for the internet. Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Square and Twitter, who was the main proponent of building out this Square Crypto team, is it's no secret that he is a big proponent of Bitcoin, and he believes the internet needs a native currency, and it will bring about a lot of opportunities and accessibility for people all over the world. And so our team believes that Bitcoin is the best chance for us to have a digital cash that's native to the internet and opens up financial and economic empowerment for people all over the world, really. So it's a little bit about our team. Our team's currently a quite small team. It's made up of 4 developers and some more product facing people. And predominantly our team focuses on 2 areas. So our development team is focused on scaling solutions. So we do a lot of work on the Lightning network, which, just very quickly, for those who might not be familiar, is the preferred scaling solution for Bitcoin. Currently, Bitcoin only allows for a certain amount of transactions per 10 minutes. And in order for us to scale Bitcoin so that it's accessible to a wider range of people and a wider range of use cases, we have to build a layer on top of that, which allows for sort of instant transactions and instant settlement, and exponentially scales to the point that it becomes a global cash, essentially. So our team is focused on building tools that allow developers to add those features of the Lightning Network into their Bitcoin wallets. And that's predominantly what our development team works on. But we also have our grant program, which is our predominant method for helping to kind of fund open source developers and designers. And so we're currently funding developers and designers across 17, 18 different countries, with close to 25, I think even now it's up to 30 developers and designers across a wider range of projects. And typically these grants are for a year long, and they are renewable. And the main feature of these grants is that grantees work on free and open source Bitcoin projects. And these are projects that typically don't have a business kind of business goal or profit motive. They are predominantly to help move the Bitcoin ecosystem forward. So whether it be more infrastructure style projects, or projects aimed at improving user experience, or projects that are designed to make building Bitcoin projects slightly easier, those are the kind of projects we're kind of open to funding. So this is just a little image of some of the projects that we're funding at the moment. So we have the BDK, which is the Bitcoin Development Kit, which is a software engineering, I guess, library that makes it simpler for teams to build Bitcoin wallets. Ultimately, it supports multiple languages, so developers can write in their language of choice. And it's designed to be very customizable, so a developer can decide which features of a Bitcoin wallet to implement and how to implement those as well. And then we have some kind of more infrastructure style projects, like the Eye of Satoshi, which is a watchtower implementation. Without going into too much details, it's a Lightning infrastructure project, a very important one that essentially prevents bad actors from stealing people's funds, essentially. And we also have the design community. So for people who are more design orientated, we started a Bitcoin design community last summer, and that community is focused on building out the Bitcoin design guide, which is a set of principles, a set of recommendations, guidance on how to best go about overcoming some of the UX and UI challenges that we face in the Bitcoin ecosystem. We also have the LDK, which I spoke a little bit about earlier, which is predominantly what my team internally work on. And we also fund some of the more popular projects that people might be aware of in the Bitcoin space, such as BTC Pay Server, which is allows a merchant to be their own payment processor, essentially. And in addition to that, we also fund developers working on Bitcoin Core, so super low level stuff as well. So we're kind of funding development and design across a wide range of projects. And we hope to see this trend continue, not just from ourselves, but through other organizations as well. So there are other organizations out there that also fund open source development. Off the top of my head, some of those include Brink, um, OKCoin, Gemini, BitMEX, and a few others. So if we can get to a point where we have a large set of organizations funding open source development, it's only going to be beneficial to the ecosystem, and it's only going to provide more opportunities for people as well. So yeah, this presentation's super brief. I did want to perhaps leave some time for questions for people to ask me about my own personal experience, how they can kind of contribute themselves. But there's a vast array of opportunities currently in the Bitcoin space. There's the opportunity for you yourself to use Bitcoin as a technology just for saving for the long term and maintaining your purchasing power and kind of fighting against some of the inflation that we're seeing in many of the economies around the world. But beyond that, there's opportunities for people to work in this space as well. Especially what I'm focused on is the more technical side and kind of building out the infrastructure and helping to find people that are interested in that side of things. But there are also opportunities in other areas as well, more business focused opportunities, or if people like the economics or even the philosophy or the creative side of the industry as well. There's definitely lots of opportunities there. And so if you're interested in, opportunities in the Bitcoin ecosystem, you can feel free to reach out to me and we can have those conversations. And yeah, that's kind of it from me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Conor, once again. I think we can move on to the question and answer session now, if that's okay.
Cool. Does the questions pop up in like the chat, is it? Or how does it work?
Yeah, I think the questions should pop up in our chat.
Okay.
Guys, if you have any questions, you can just drop them in the chat, or we can also do them in our AMA Discord server.
Okay.
So we have a question. Where can we contact you, sir?
Sure. So you can contact me at connor@squarecrypto.org. I don't know. I think I can write it in the chat here, Connor. Connor@squarecrypto.org. Or you can reach out to me on Twitter as well. I'm also on Twitter, Conor Okus, CONOROKUS.
That's wonderful. Great. We have another question. What is the biggest challenge of being a PM in crypto space?
That's a really good question, actually. So the nature of Bitcoin is open source, and so it's also decentralized. And what that means is there's no one in control of Bitcoin specifically. There's no kind of entity you can go to one, stop Bitcoin, or two, that kind of entity being the prominent decider of decisions, for example, right? Everyone contributing to Bitcoin for the most part started off on a volunteer basis, and there are no kind of managers. Consensus works slightly different. And so working in open source as a PM means you have to tread the line carefully of ensuring projects move forward, but without being sort of a controlling force on any one project, because there are so many contributions coming from different parts of the world, different types of people, and you're the setup that we have in these open source projects is that no one's anyone's manager. So you have to find ways to build strong relationships with people such that projects can still move forward, because you have to understand in some projects people are not being paid to contribute or volunteer to some of these projects, and so what's their incentive to work and do good things in the space? A lot of it is the passion for just craftsmanship, and people want to show that they can do good things in the space, and you have to try your best to identify that and find out what it is people like to do and create the kind of help that they need to do those things in a way that they feel like proud and passionate about. So it's very different in the sense from perhaps being a PM at a startup or a big corporation, for example, where like there's business objectives and you're as a PM, your role is to provide that kind of longer term roadmap and ensure the team is kind of working at a cadence that meets that on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. Things are a bit more haphazard in the Bitcoin space and or in open source in general, and a bit more disorganized is probably not the right word, but just a bit more frantic, a bit more. There's a lot more moving pieces that you have to kind of think about. So, but it's exciting though. I like it. It's kind of like no day's the same, you know. So
That sounds extremely interesting. We have another question. How do we get started on becoming a PM in the decentralized industry? Because being an undergrad student, how can I personally find opportunities?
yeah, sure. I don't know if we've run out of time, but I'll quickly answer this one. So, how do we get started on becoming a PM in decentralized industry? So, I think the first thing is to find the projects that you like. Really, there's a million and one decentralized projects at the moment. I'm speaking from the Bitcoin perspective, and there's tens, if not hundreds, of Bitcoin projects that are open source and are out there. So it's for you to find those projects and kind of think, oh, like what positive contribution can I make to help organize this project so that it reaches its full potential? And once you've identified them, you can then start to reach out to the contributors of that project and say, oh, I'd like to help out. What are the things that you guys kind of need help with? And kind of start from there, because most contributors and maintainers of projects are more than willing to take on extra help. So that would be like probably the first place to start, and reach out to people like me and have conversations with myself.
Right. Unfortunately, we don't really have the time to address
Yeah.
all the questions, I think, for a time. So, everyone, you can actually drop all your questions at the AMA questions channel in our Discord server, and we will do our best to answer them over there. Once again, thank you so much, Connor, for enlightening us on the different career paths in the blockchain space stuff I really didn't know existed. So, thank you so much once again. And stay tuned, everyone, for our next session by Dheeraj Shah at 4 p.m. IST. Dheeraj would be talking to us about the world of NFTs. So, thank you once again. It was really lovely having you there. Have a